Thank goodness. Hey guys, sorry that took a minute. I was just trying to just hit go live, and the little circle went round and round and round for ages, and I was like, "What is happening?" So I just closed it, opened it back up again, and it's working. Hallelujah. I am just going to move down onto my mat. This is a little bit different for me. I normally teach on Zoom, so it's a bit weird for me that I can't see you. But I'm just gonna let's have fun. Gonna move down onto my mat. If you all you need for this practice is a yoga mat, but to be honest, even if you don't have a mat and you want to practice just a soft surface, so on your carpet in your living room, or if you don't have a soft floor, just put a towel or something down. Um, I'm hoping that you can, yeah, all my little things are lighting up that say you can hear me. There's a little chat to the right. If you can't hear me, I think you can hear me. The thing's working. So I'm just going to move down onto my mat now. I'm going to give you, that'll give you time hopefully to just to grab anything that you need. If you, something else that might be really useful for you is a blanket or a towel. And I use this one. It's something that's just when you fold it, it has a little bit more of a kind of firmness rather than like a really thin blanket. If you have found me because somebody else shared one of my posts on social media, welcome. My name's Faith. I am from North Carolina originally, but I live in the UK and have lived here for most of my adult life. So a lot of times people message me and say, what accent is that? It's a mix between a North Carolina accent and a British accent. But we're just today gonna, it's been a week, hasn't it? It's been such a week. And if you're anything, if you feel anything like I have been feeling, your nervous system is probably a little bit jacked up between the election going on in America, between lockdown here in the UK and in other parts of Europe. And then not even to mention things that are going on in other parts of the world. And just things that are going on in our personal lives, you know, with all this kind of global stuff going on, then we also just have things that we're all dealing with relationally and you know, illnesses, family, friends, kids. And it's just a lot. It is a lot to deal with. And so many emotions can exist at the same time in the same place. And I think often our default is to dissociate or even to distract ourselves with food or Netflix, or sometimes I even read books and pretend that that's like a better way of coping, but it's still just escapism. And that distraction technique will work for a little while, but eventually we have to just move through our emotions and engage with what's going on with us. So that's what we're going to do today, just for the little, this kind of these few minutes together. This is going to be a little less than an hour. I think we're probably looking at, I'm hoping, if I've planned this right, it's going to be about 45 minutes. So I'm so glad that you're here. I'm really honored. That's what we're going to do. Yeah, so if you'll just meet me on the floor in Sukhasana or easy pose. My husband actually does not find this pose easy at all. So if you're offended that this is called easy pose, you're in good company. But it's just a little crisscross applesauce legs on the floor. And if this doesn't feel comfortable to you, just find a position that does feel comfortable. Because all we're doing right now is just arriving in this space, in this moment. Here we are. Thank you so much for joining me today. I feel so grateful to you for allowing me to lead you through this flow. And I hope you feel grateful to yourself for showing up for yourself today. As you arrive here, bring your hands to your knees. Just notice, take a minute to notice where your sits bones meet the ground, where your body touches the earth. Notice how your mind feels. Is it racing? Is it foggy? Is it tired? Does it feel clear? Just notice, don't judge. Take a minute to arrive here. What does your body feel like? Can you feel any tension or places in your body where you might be holding stress? Are your shoulders up by your ears? And if they are, can you just drop them away? Maybe bringing your shoulder blades down your back a little bit, just behind your heart space, opening your chest to the front of the room. Really grounding down through your sits bones and imagining a straight energetic line from your tailbone all the way up your spine, along the back of your neck, as if a string is attached to the crown of your head and it's just gently lifting you toward the sky. Beautiful. Let's just take a minute here to connect to our breath. A lot of times we walk around all day and realize, or maybe don't realize, that we're just breathing right up here in the tops of our chests for days, especially when maybe we're feeling tense or a bit of anxiety about things. So you can bring your right hand to your belly and your left hand to your heart. And on your next inhale, can you just isolate your breath? Bring it all the way down into your belly so that it pushes your right hand away. And then slowly exhale, reversing the direction of your breath. Beautiful. On your next inhale, breathe all the way down into your belly again. And then as you continue to draw that breath in, see if you can bring some breath into your ribs so that you're feeling your belly and then feeling your ribs expand. Beautiful. And then just slowly reversing that breath as it leaves your ribs and then your belly. And on this next inhale, through your nose, can you inhale the breath down into your belly, then into your ribs, and then finally into your upper chest. And then reversing the breath and slowly exhaling through pursed lips. Beautiful. Let's do that again. So just a really long, slow, deep inhale down into the belly and then the ribs, and then finally the chest. Feeling your right hand push away and then your left hand push away. And then again, exhale, release the air from your chest and then from your ribs and then from your belly. Can you do that 2 more times just at your own pace? Beautiful. Now bring hands back to your knees. On your next inhale, can you lift your arms overhead, bring your palms together, and then on your exhale, rotate your body to the right so that your left hand comes to your right knee, your right hand comes to the floor just behind your bum. So you don't want to drop back into that right shoulder, but almost use the right hand to kind of help you maintain that lift toward the sky that we talked about at the beginning. You find a really nice tall spine. And on your inhale here, can you find a little bit more height? And then as you exhale, a little bit of a deeper twist. If it feels okay in your neck, you can take your gaze back over your right shoulder. If that's too much for you, just leave your gaze out to the side of the room. Inhale here down into the belly, imagining the ribs expanding in every direction. Front to back, side to side, top to bottom. Exhale, just a little bit of a deeper twist. Beautiful. And on your next exhale, come back to center. Lovely. Again, here we're going to inhale, take arms overhead, palms together. Exhale, twist to the left. Right hand comes to the left knee. Left hand comes back behind you, close to your bum, finding that lift in your spine. Again, as you inhale, can you find more height? And as you exhale, a little bit of a deeper twist, taking your gaze back over your left shoulder if that's accessible to you. Really nice. As we move through the rest of our flow today, I'm just going to keep reminding you to come back to the breath. Yoga is so much about breath. So if you're struggling to breathe, that's not okay. It might just be your body telling you that you need to just back off a little bit. Maybe you're pushing yourself a little bit too hard. And this isn't about pushing ourselves. Beautiful. On your next exhale, come back to center, hands to knees. Gorgeous. Now on your next inhale, can you rock forward, opening your chest to the front of the room, almost finding kind of a U shape in your back, lifting your chin slightly as for a seated cow. And then on an exhale, can you do the opposite of that, drawing your navel into your spine, arching your back, kind of pulling against your knees with your hands, dropping your chin to your chest, feeling the skin stretch across your shoulder blades for a seated cat. Beautiful. Inhale back to a cow. Chest forward, belly kind of flopping out here. And then exhale to cat. Gorgeous. One more of those. So inhaling down into the belly for cow. And exhale back down to cat. Really feeling that skin stretch from shoulder blade to shoulder blade. Dropping the chin down to the chest. Really nice. Come back up to a nice seated position here. And then we're going to slowly, lovingly, with grace, move onto all fours. So one of my favorite teachers says that how you do anything is how you do everything. So can you move today, even your tiny movements from one pose to the next with grace and with love and with joy? So we're coming onto all fours here. Wrists are going to be underneath your shoulders. Knees are underneath your hips for table. What a nice flat back here, as if you're trying to balance a teacup in a saucer on your back and you don't want to spill any tea. So again, just that nice long line from your tailbone, along your spine, along the back of your neck, out the crown of your head. On an inhale, take your right hand up overhead, pointing towards the ceiling, kind of opening your chest to the right, and take your gaze up with it if you can. And then on an exhale, thread this right hand between your left hand and your left knee, coming all the way down onto your shoulder. You should feel a stretch kind of along behind your right shoulder here, the right side of your back. You can either leave your palm here, your left palm on the mat, or you can even take it a little bit further out if that feels better to you. You can tent your fingers here if that feels good. But as you sit here, can you just continue to breathe down into the ribs, expanding them in every direction, connecting to the breath, noticing what it's telling you about your body. Beautiful. Slowly come back to table, both palms on the mat, wrists underneath the shoulders. On an inhale, take the left hand up to the sky, taking the gaze with it if that's comfortable to you. Otherwise, just leaving the gaze out to the side of the room. And then on an exhale, threading this left hand between the right hand and the right knee. And again, you can either have your palm here on the mat, or you can take your hand further out, tenting your fingers if that feels good in your right shoulder. Just reconnecting to the breath here. Beautiful. Could just stay here for a while, actually. Should we just lay down and have a nap? Okay, we're going to slowly come back to table with love. Beautiful, great job. Take your hands just slightly further out here, so not right under your shoulders here, but just maybe take a little bit of a step with your hands. Tuck your toes, and then we're just going to push hips up and back into down dog. So your gaze here should be back between your feet. You can take a minute here just to pedal your feet out as your hamstrings wake up. Your head should be between your biceps, your fingers pointing to the top of your mat. You're making an L shape with your index finger and your thumb. See if you can kind of rotate your upper arms so that the creases of your elbows aren't facing inward toward each other, but rather facing the top of your mat. Just take a couple of deep breaths here. Moving however feels good. So you can be really stationary if you want, or just pedal your feet out. Stretching those hamstrings out and waking them up. One more deep inhale, and then on an exhale, make your way to the top of your mat. You can either jump or skip or take little tiny baby steps, whatever feels right to you. But we're just going to come all the way back up to the top of the mat. Beautiful. And then slowly roll up one vertebrae at a time. Feet about hip width apart. All the way up into Tadasana, mountain pose. When you get to the top, can you just draw your shoulders up to your ears and then roll them down so that your shoulder blades are behind your heart space. Your feet are hip distance apart here. Can you rock forward onto the balls of your feet and then back onto the heels? You roll your feet out so that you're on the knife edge of the outside of the foot, and then roll them in so that you're in the arches. And then just come back to center, having kind of connected with all of those four sides of your feet. Can you find a really strong foundation here? So arms are at your sides with your palms facing forward. Your gaze is forward, your chin's lifted. Chest is open to the top of the mat. Take a deep breath in here and a deep breath out. Beautiful. On your next inhale, bring your arms overhead, your palms together, and then on your exhale, slice the middle of the air with those prayer hands so that you come all the way back down into a forward fold. You can hang here for a minute. You can bring your hands to the mat or to your toes if that is accessible to you. You might want to grab each opposite elbow and swing side to side. Let your head hang heavy. Breathe here. Beautiful. On an inhale, you halfway lift, bringing your hands to your thighs, making the shape of a 7 with your body. Really nice. Just remembering that straight line from your tailbone along your spine, along the back of your neck, and out the crown of your head. On an exhale, bring your hands down to the mat, folding back in half. Step your left foot back. Step your right foot back so that you're in a plank. Well done. Drop your knees for a half plank, and then slowly and with control, bend your elbows at your sides, lowering your torso onto the mat, bringing your forehead all the way down to the floor. Really nice. On an inhale, can you just lift your gaze and your chest, flexing also through your glutes and the backs of your legs, leaving the feet on the floor here, but just for a baby cobra. Really nice. Now we're going to tuck our toes, push through the hands, lift the hips up and back for down dog. Great job. You know what to do here. You're back in your down dog, so you can pedal it out again. Take a couple of deep breaths. Just take a moment. Deep breath in, and on your exhale, can you make your way back to the top of the mat? Great job. Now, on your inhale, can you hinge at the hips, stand all the way back and up into Tadasana. Take your arms overhead, palms together. And on your exhale, bring your hands to your heart in prayer. Beautiful job. On an inhale, bring your hands overhead again, palms together, and then exhale, hinge at the hips, swan diving back down into a forward fold. Great job. Maybe just rock back and forth here for a second. Swinging your arms. Inhale, halfway lift, finding that 7 shape again. Exhale, fold, bring your hands to the mat. Step your right foot back, step your left foot back. In a strong plank, you are strong, awesome job. Drop your knees to the mat, slowly and with control. Bend your elbows, bringing yourself down, forehead to the mat. On an inhale, lift your gaze and your chest for a baby cobra. Great job. Now tuck your toes, strong arms, push away from the mat, pushing your hips up and back into your down dog. Well done. Couple of deep breaths here. Deep breath in, and on your exhale, take those baby steps back up to the top of your mat, feet hip width apart. Inhale, lifting up, arms overhead, palms together. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart in prayer. Beautiful job. Just take a breath here. Beautiful. On an inhale, bring your hands overhead again, palms together. On an exhale, you know what to do. Swan dive, folding in half for a forward fold. Take a deep breath in here and a deep breath out. On an inhale, halfway lift. You getting the hang of it? Back into your 7 shape. Beautiful. On an exhale, fold back down. Hands come to the mat, step your left foot back, step your right foot back, really strong plank. Drop your knees to the mat. Slowly bend those elbows, bringing your forehead all the way down. On an inhale, lifting the gaze and the chest for baby cobra. Using the muscles in your back and your thighs. Really nice. Now we're going to tuck our toes. Push through the hands, lift the hips up and back for down dog. Now here's what's going to happen. You're going to move through this flow a couple of times on your own, but don't panic. Okay, so you're in down dog right now. Just take a few deep breaths there as you pedal your feet out. We've just done it together 3 times. And so now I want you to trust yourself as you move through it 2 more times, just at your own pace. And this part of the flow isn't about getting it exactly right, remembering exactly what the next step is. It's about uniting your breath with your movement. So if you can't remember what comes next, it doesn't matter. Just move in a way that feels right in your body. So from your down dog, as you exhale, you're going to make your way to the top of the mat and stand back up in your Tadasana, your mountain pose. And you know what to do from there. Arms overhead and then down into prayer. And then arms overhead and swan dive down into a forward fold. Can you just move through that with grace for yourself? Just at your own pace. There's no rush. And as you do that, what can you offer up? All those things that we talked about at the beginning as we arrived on our mats, the stuff going on in the world, the things going on in our personal lives, all of those relational things going on, and whatever's going on in your life. What can you control? And what can't you control? What is it that you can let go of now that isn't serving you, that isn't serving anyone around you? As you allow yourself to move through this flow in a way that maybe isn't perfect, as you let go of your need to get it exactly right. What else can you open your hands and let go of? When you're in your last baby cobra, there's no rush here. So wherever you are, just be there. Do this at your own pace. But instead of pushing yourself back up into downward dog here, we're just going to push back up onto the knees and then drop hips back onto the heels for child's pose. And that's where we're all going to meet. So I'm going to give you just a minute to get there. Arms are stretched out in front of you. You can either have knees together here under your body, but if you need more space for your front body, you can bring your big toes together and take your knees out wide to make space. Bringing your forehead down to the mat. Beautiful. Can you open your palms to the sky as a symbolic act of letting go? Just take a few breaths here. Down into the belly, and then slowly out again. Really beautiful. Flip your hands so that your palms are back on the mat. Bring your knees closer together if you've got them apart. Tuck your toes, and then push hips up and back into your down dog. Gorgeous. Head is between your biceps here. Imagine kind of internally rotating your thighs. On an exhale, can you make your way, taking baby steps, back up to the top of your mat? And then slowly, one vertebrae at a time, rolling up into Tadasana, mountain pose. You know how to do this. Really grounding down through the back body here, lifting through the front body so that your heart is open to the front of the room. You bring your hands behind you here and interlace your fingers. If you can, if you have the flexibility, you can bring your palms together. If that's a bit too much, you can kind of make a square here with your hands. But just bringing them back behind you, drawing your palms, your fingers down away, down to the ground, opening your heart space to the sky. Beautiful. Now step the right foot back so that your right toes are at a 45-degree angle pointing to the top right of your mat. Your left toes are pointing to the top of your mat. Your left knee is over your left ankle. Beautiful. And then leaving those hands down behind you, pulling them down so that you're opening the chest to the sky. Really nice. Now we're going to slowly and with control and love and joy and acceptance and grace, fold forward slowly, really drawing strength through the legs, bringing the torso to the inside of the left thigh. And then if it feels good, if it feels accessible, letting the arms even come overhead, just wherever feels right to you here. So don't push here. Just use your strength in your legs for humble warrior. Beautiful. Deep breath in here, deep breath out. And then bring the hands down carefully to the mat. Pivot up onto the ball of that right foot. Step back into a plank. And we're just going to take a couple of deep breaths here. If a full plank is not accessible to you, you can bring your knees to the mat for a half plank. But we just want to stay focused on the breath, on being able to breathe here, and on our strength. Beautiful. Bring your knees down to the mat, and then drop your hips back into child's pose. Again, if you need to spread your knees out to make more space for your front body, please do that. And bring your forehead down to the mat. Palms can be face down on the mat, or again, you can flip them open to the sky. Really nice. So if your hands are facing the ceiling, bring your palms back to the mat. Rock forward. Bring your knees back together if they're apart. Tuck your toes. Push your hips up and back into down dog. Really nice. Pedal your heels out here if that feels right to you. On an exhale, slowly make your way back to the top of the mat so that you're in a forward fold. Feet are hip width apart. And then slowly, one vertebra at a time, roll up. Slowly, all the way to Tadasana, mountain pose. Great job. Again, bring your palms, your hands together behind you, fingers interlaced. Opening the chest to the front of the room, lifting the chin slightly. Opening your heart. By releasing your control over every situation, what have you made space for? What does love want to give you in return for your need to be right? You step back with your left foot this time. Toes pointing to the top left of your mat at a 45-degree angle. Right toes pointing to the top of your mat. Right knee over right ankle. Hands behind your back. Making space. Making space for whatever love wants to give you. Making space in your heart. Letting go of control and of what doesn't serve us, and making room for what's good. Beautiful. Now we're going to fold slowly and with control down inside the right knee, bringing the hands overhead behind us, really drawing strength up through the legs. Beautiful. Breathing into that. Really nice. Now slowly, lovingly, bring your hands back to the mat. Pivot up onto the ball of the left foot. Step back with your right foot. We're going to hold this plank strong for just a couple of breaths, breathing down into the belly. If you need to come to a half plank, do that. Great job. This is our last kind of really powerful pose, so make it count. Just 2 more breaths here. You got this. So breathe down into your belly. Exhale out. Well done. Make a little bit of noise if you need to. And on your exhale, drop your knees to the ground if they're not already there. Drop your hips back to child's pose. Well done. You're awesome. Just take a few breaths here in child's pose. Okay, when you're ready, we're gonna rock up onto all fours, back into table where we were earlier in our practice. So wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. Really nice. So from here, we're gonna move into pigeon. I'm gonna move everybody into pigeon, and then I'll show you a variation of this afterwards, so that if this doesn't feel good to you, then just hang out, and I'll give you another option in just a second, okay? So we're gonna slide the left knee just back a little bit on our mat, and then bring the right knee underneath the torso here. So this is the top of the left leg is on your mat directly behind you. If you need a little bit of support here, this is where your blanket can come in handy. You can bring it under your right hip, just to give you a little support so that you're not just dropping over onto the right hip here. So palms are on the mat, chest is lifted toward the top of the mat, the front of the room. Gaze is to the front of the room. Really nice. And once you're here for a second, you might even want to move down onto your forearms, if that feels good to you. If this is too much for you, everybody else hang out here. If that's too much for you, you can sit on your bum, take your left leg out in front of you, cross your right leg over so that your right ankle is over your left knee. Bring your hands behind you, and then you can either just sit right here if this feels like enough for you, or you can bend the left leg, bringing the right shin closer to your chest. Careful not to kind of drop down into your shoulders, but lift your chest toward the front of your mat. And then again, if you need more here, you can bring the foot closer into your bum. So wherever you are, either one of those, just embrace it. Embrace where you are today. Really nice. So if you're down on your forearms here, bring your palms back to the mat, lifting your chest, sliding your right knee back and your left knee forward, coming back into table. And then we're just going to do the same thing on the other side. So if you're in your seated pigeon, we're just going to switch legs. If you're here in table, you're going to slide your right knee back and your left knee forward under your torso, opening your chest to the front of the room. Lifting your gaze. If you need to, bring that folded blanket or towel under your left hip for a little bit more support. If you want to, when you're ready, come down onto your forearms. Just breathe here. Come back to that deep belly breath. Expanding your ribs in every direction. Try breathing in through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. Some really strong shoulders here so that we're not kind of dropping down into our shoulders, but finding a lift in our neck and our shoulders. Really nice. Now come back onto your palms. Take that towel out from under your bum if you need to. Slide the left knee back and the right knee forward, and then we're going to slowly, with love, with joy, with grace for ourselves, move down onto our bums. Here we are. Well done. We're almost done. You're doing great. So take hands behind your thighs here, and then just gently lower yourself, slowly, down onto the mat. Shimmy yourself a little bit if you need to kind of center. Bring your feet in close to your bum. Take your palms down on the outside of your hips so that your palms are facing the mat, touching the ground. And then we're just gonna, on an inhale, lift at the hips, pushing down through the palms and through the feet for bridge pose. Really nice. So careful not to let your knees kind of flop out side to side here, but keep your thighs nice and close together, drawing a lot of strength through your thighs, through your bum, pushing down through your feet and through your hands, lifting your hips to the sky. If you want, you can even bring your palms back together behind your back like we did earlier, interlacing your fingers, bringing your shoulder blades even further underneath your heart space, lifting those hips. They're tempted to drop here. We're just going to stay here for a couple of breaths. You got this. You're strong. Inhale. One last deep inhale. And then on your exhale, slowly, slowly, one vertebrae at a time, lower yourself back down until finally your sacrum touches the mat. Well done. From here, just take a minute to windshield wiper your knees side to side. Really good. And then we're going to take knees over to the right side here. You can even shift your hips back onto the mat if you need to do that. Take your right hand to the outside of your left thigh. Take your left hand straight out to your left side and your gaze with it past your left fingertips so that your knees are facing the right side of the room. Your left fingers and your gaze are facing the left side of the room for a reclined spinal twist. You can use this right hand to give your left thigh a little bit of a massage. Give it a little bit of love. And as you kind of melt into the mat here, as you let your body unravel, can you just allow yourself to be held by love? Really beautiful. We are going to come back to the center now. Knees back to the center of the mat, and then we're just going to take them all the way over to the opposite side. So knees just dropping to the left side. Shift your hips back onto the mat if you need to. Take your right hand out to your right side and your gaze out past your right fingertips. Using that left hand this time just to give the outside of your right thigh a little bit of love. Allowing yourself to just be held, to unravel. To let go. Really nice. Can you bring your knees back to center here? And now I'm going to move. You don't move. Can you take your legs straight out so that you're lying flat on your mat? If you've got a blanket nearby and your room is cool, you might want to pull that on now. This is Shavasana that we're about to enter. So if you are used to doing yoga, then you'll know exactly what Shavasana is. But if this is new for you, this is just an opportunity for you to rest. It's just a few minutes of me holding space for you. So I'm going to go quiet in a minute, but I'm not going anywhere. Okay, so just take your legs out long, your hands beside you with your palms facing the sky. Or if it feels more grounding for you, you could bring your left hand to your heart and your right hand to your belly. Can you allow your feet to just flop out to the sides? Notice where you might be holding any tension in your legs, in your pelvis, in your chest, in your hands. Can you draw your shoulders further down away from your ears? Can you relax the muscles in your face or drop your tongue away from the roof of your mouth? And just rest here. This is a great opportunity for you to just be quiet. I promise I am going to stop talking and leave you alone in just a minute. Can you just listen? Meditate on what you've experienced for the last 45 minutes. Listen to the voice that you might identify as God or your own inner intuition, that voice of love. What is it saying to you? Can you slowly, at your own pace, there's no rush, just start to become aware of your surroundings again. Maybe wiggle your fingers and your toes. When you're ready, on your own time, you take your right arm overhead and lie it on the ground beside your right ear. And when you're ready, can you roll onto your right side using that arm beneath your head as a pillow? Drawing the knees up into fetal position. Just taking a few deep, nourishing breaths here. And then slowly, when you're ready, can you bring your left hand to the mat and use it to push yourself up into a seated position? And that's where I'll meet you, back on your mat in Sukhasana. We're just going to end our practice today by saying Namaste, which means that all that is light and sacred in me sees and honors what is light and sacred in you. So bring your hands to your heart in prayer. And bow your head as we whisper, Namaste. Thank you all so much for practicing with me today. I'll be here for just a minute if you have any questions for the chat. I'm just so honored that you came, and I hope that you leave this feeling really rested and nourished and ready for the week to go out into the world and love yourself and love everybody else. Thanks, Katie. Thank you, guys. Oh, I'm so honored. Thank you, Amanda. That is really kind. And thanks, Gay. It is a nice way to spend a Sunday afternoon. It's actually, when we started, it was quite light outside, so I haven't got any lights on. And as we went on, it just got darker and darker. And I was just really praying that it wouldn't be pitch black by the end. If you don't follow me on social media, my Instagram account is just at Faith Dwight, and I often post my classes on there. So I'd love to have you if you ever want to join any future classes. Oh, thanks, Mary. I'm so honored that you came. Yay. And thanks, Zoe. That is awesome, guys. Thank you, Ray and Nicole. I really appreciate it. I'm so honored that you're here. I'm not just saying that. It's not just a nice thing to say. I genuinely feel so honored and humbled to get to lead you guys. Thank you. I also have a website. It's faithdwight.com. And there's a shop there. It's a blog that I've had for years. So it's not just yoga on there, but there's a shop there where I currently have 4-week yoga series running that I'm teaching right now that I've already started, but that's where I put, any other series or one-off classes that I teach if you want to book spaces. So that's another place to check out. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Again, I'm so honored and privileged that you came, and I hope that you have an amazing day. Oh, well done, Sarah. Thank you. I hope that you have an amazing day and amazing week. I really do think that when we have grace for ourselves and connect with ourselves, when we love ourselves really well, it empowers us to love everybody else really well. The more grace that we have for ourselves, I think the more grace we can have for other people. So I think you've done something really powerful today by showing up for this, by showing yourself some grace. And I just hope and pray for you that as you move into your week, you feel really equipped to love everybody else really well. We've got a lot of work to do, but I believe in us. Okay. Lots of love. Bless you all. See you soon.